Kim Yisak is so unlucky that he got hit with an incurable illness. What makes it worse is that he's going to die in 6 months. His whole life, Yisak just cooperated with slavery, never getting the chance to enjoy the pleasures of life. The thought that he would die a virgin was what truly devastated him. As if to rub salt on the wound, he won a lottery jackpot the very day he was diagnosed with this rare disease. In the end, though, he died and was reincarnated as a bald skeleton in the underworld, an inferior class summoned monster. Now his job was to wipe out all the rebellious forces threatening the demonic realm. So he did his job diligently and eradicated the monsters. Once he brought prosperity to the demon world, he earned the title of the Great Demon King, King Izak. Even though his name is Yisak, these guys always pronounce it wrong and call him Izak instead. Either way, while he enjoyed all the attention he was getting, his ultimate goal was to turn back into a human, as he merely wanted to experience the pleasures and struggles he had long been waiting. So he visited the divine realm with the severed head of the enemy force leader, meaning that he had completed the task assigned to him. With that, he had taken care of all the factions challenging the gods, just as promised. It was now the gods' turn to fulfill his wish, to turn him back into a human. The gods were in shock. This dude had literally cleared a quest in just a few years, one that was supposed to take at least 500 years. Apparently, the gods never actually intended to turn him back. They assigned him an impossible task, so he would remain their slave for the rest of his life. But our boy wasn't about to let that slide. He made it clear that he wasn't tolerating any more delays, and demanded that they hold up their end of the bargain. One of the gods asked him to do them one last favor, but of course, Izak wasn't some dumbass with a hollow skull. Realizing their scheme, he became absolutely enraged, ready to kill them if they don't turn him into human. He began exerting immense power, a force so terrifying that even the gods panicked. The scum gods joined forces and cast a powerful spell that sealed away all of Izak's skills. Apparently, the gods had written Izak's name on some weird centipede-like creature. Whoever's name was written on that thing became completely useless, no matter how powerful they were. It was the highest class holy art, a technique the gods typically use to seal away disasters like our skeleton boy. So the gods started to prepare their final attack to seal Izak away into that bug for eternity. But this is when Izak decides he'd rather self-destruct than become some useless caterpillar that doesn't even have hair. The energy around him began to increase, and eventually a massive explosion rocked the entire divine realm. When the dust finally settled, our skeleton buddy was nowhere to be seen. The only thing left on the ground was that little caterpillar, which was supposed to have Izak's soul. Seeing the caterpillar made them believe that the Demon King's soul was sealed away. Now that the Demon King was gone, they were sure that they'd bounce back stronger than ever. However, one of the gods warns them not to get too relaxed. They can't afford to let their guard down. Who knows when another disaster like our boy might be born? So he proposed a plan to create the perfect vessel for a saint in the human realm and exterminate every last demon. All he needs to do is find the right soul to place inside the saint's body. As for the insolent skeleton Demon King, the gods are sure they've trapped him in this caterpillar, and they look forward to torturing him as a bug for all eternity. Now, let's switch to our boy's perspective. After being scammed by those dumpster gods, he finds himself reincarnated in the body of a baby. He has no idea how this even happened. The only explanation that makes sense is that those bastards somehow messed up the seal. The maids standing nearby perk up in happiness when they notice that the saint has woken up. But when Izak takes a closer look at these servants, he quickly realizes they don't have good intentions. Then one of the servants pulls out a feeder filled with suspicious green liquid. Seeing that sends Isak into an absolute fear. He's terrified at the thought that he's about to die again, just after being born, and he has no idea why he's supposed to die again like this. The bastard holding the feeder filled with poison gives our boy a crooked smile and apologizes for what he's about to do. As soon as the servant tries to put the nipple into his mouth, the poor guy dodges it, twisting his face left and right. The servants start to panic, not knowing why the saint is refusing to eat. Well, our boy clearly has his reasons. After finally becoming human, he doesn't want to risk dying by eating something that looks suspicious as hell. Besides, he wants to figure out how the hell he even became human in the first place. This is when the servants call him Izak, the same name everyone in the underworld and the gods used to address him. Izak is absolutely spooked as the words sink in. He remembers that Izak is just the other pronunciation of his real name. Even the gods used it when they sealed him away. Since they used the wrong name, that's probably the only reason he wasn't sealed away. And instead, he ended up reincarnated into a different body with the same name. This brings a wicked smile over his face to think that those idiots failed to seal him away. The servants take this chance and thrust the feeder nipple into his mouth. Both servants did their best to keep the feeder in place, but the baby is too strong and keeps resisting. Eventually, our boy relaxes and stops struggling. The taste he's getting is like drinking vegetable juice, which means it's not poison. But with how awful this juice tastes, he'd honestly rather take his chances with poison. Then he starts feeling something ominous entering his body. Seems like there really was some kind of poison mixed into the feed. The scene shifted to the Holy Empire Gila's central temple. There, we see an old man smirking, feeling satisfied that our boy, who is supposed to be one of the saint candidates, must be pushing up daisies by now. At that moment, the Emperor of the Holy Empire Hela, Alexander Heathcliff Hela, crosses paths with this old coot. Alexander is actually visiting the temple in order to see the saint candidate of the Eshua household, who of course is our boy. The bishop and his disciples bow their heads in the presence of the emperor. Alexander then questioned the old man about the reason for his visit. The old coot smiles and claims he has come to greet the saint candidate of House Eshua. As they're catching up, someone suddenly shouts out loud, grabbing everyone's attention. The reporter is here to report something regarding Isaac, and given the urgency in the guy's tone, it's clear that it's something bad. The old coot feels a surge of happiness inside as he considers that his plan must have worked. Alexander and his knights rush to the room where Isaac is, but turns out it's nothing serious. Isaac's belly has simply gotten plump after chugging down all that vegetable juice. The servants reveal that Isaac eats too much. He's already downed 15 bottles of that tasteless juice. As adorable as this news might be, it's equally devastating for the old coot. The fact that this kid is still alive after drinking 15 bottles of poison is absolutely shocking. To understand how our boy managed to survive this absurd amount of poison, let's rewind a bit, back to when he had his first bottle of that tasteless juice. The moment his body started absorbing the juice, he felt something ominous seeping into him. But soon, our boy realized that it actually was a holy poison, a devastating toxin designed to destroy the holy power. It doesn't have any immediate effects, but since it's still poison, it becomes deadly if the body absorbs too much of it. However, this poison is made from demonic manna, and as a former demon king, this stuff is basically a perfect snack for our boy. To him, it's like his favorite food. He could eat this all day. The moment he finished his first bottle, our boy immediately threw a tantrum, demanding another one. The servants had no choice but to give in, especially since their mission was to make sure he consumed enough poison. So, they were more than happy to keep feeding him. But our boy wasn't complaining either. He was just as happy to absorb all that demonic manna for himself. This poison helped him tap into the unconscious world. And deep within that realm, at its very core, he wanted to create his mana core. He then starts the process, and a ball of fire ignites in his hands. Next, he starts adding the mana he absorbed from the poison into the mana core, since he needs a mana core to use magic later, but his experiment goes terribly wrong when the mana explodes. Once the explosion subsides, what he sees is far from normal. A mana core is supposed to be one of the 3 primary colors, but in his case, it's white. And he has no clue why. The color isn't the real problem though. What concerns him more is the overwhelming power radiating from this tiny core that isn't even fully developed yet. As terrifying as this might seem, it actually makes our boy crack a smile. This is a true blessing in disguise, something far beyond his expectations. Not only that, if he hones himself properly, he can't even begin to comprehend what kind of monster he'll eventually become. As he stands on the verge of reaching new heights, he reflects on his past life, where he was forced to die like a pathetic loser who had accomplished nothing. All he ever wanted was to survive, and that deep desire led him to reincarnate as a bald skeleton. He worked tirelessly as a demon, creating original skills through sheer effort. And now, it seems those skills have been inherited by this tiny body as well. While Isaac was lost in his subconscious turmoil, the 2 servants started to panic. For a moment they thought the kid might be dead since he hadn't moved an inch for a while. But then, out of nowhere, Isaac lifted a finger and, after cranking up his volume to the max, he began to demand another bottle of poison. Back in the present, Alexander and his knights are relieved to see that things aren't as bad as they feared. Even our boy is relieved, as he almost thought he was about to get assassinated. Thankfully, nothing bad actually happened. While he might not realize it, but bro was literally about to get assassinated. Then, Isaac notices the old coot staring at him, with a look of pure hatred. This makes our boy wonder, why in the hell is this dude looking at him like that? He thinks perhaps he ate too much, but he quickly shakes off the thought and decides to simply act like a child. He doesn't want to overreact in a way that might attract unwanted attention. So he keeps playing the role of the clueless child, while the old man fumes with rage. As far as the old coot is concerned, Isaac should be on the floor, coughing up blood, struggling for his last breath. Instead, this little brat is grinning, almost as if he's doing it just to mock him. And that is tweaking the hell out of this old coot. A few days later, at the headquarters of the Holy See, it was revealed that anyone bestowed with the title of saint would also gain control over the Holy Empire. And this golden-haired dude is not even the least bit happy about it. He desires to have this power all for himself. The same old coot, the bishop, assures his master that he'll take care of the other saint candidates, making sure there's no one left standing in the way. The golden-haired guy then inquires about some unpleasant rumors he's been hearing. A new saint candidate has appeared from House Ishwa, the very household that has strong ties with the emperor. Well, it looks like they're talking about our boy. The bishop panicked, knowing full well that dealing with House Ishwa's saint candidate will be the biggest challenge yet. But nonetheless, he reassures his master that the kid will be dead, long before the emperor even gets the chance to select him as the saint. But it looks like this golden dude is still not satisfied. So he orders the bishop to return to House Ishwa in order to verify the corpse of the saint candidate and report back. This golden-haired guy is none other than Cardinal Harry Barrett. His main goal is to eliminate every other saint candidate from rival families, ensuring that the next saint comes from his own house, House Barrett. In the present, the old man stares at the very much alive child in front of him. All he can do is stand there, breaking into a cold sweat, knowing full well that the cardinal will have his head for failing this mission. Meanwhile, Alexander is thoroughly intrigued by Isaac's striking platinum blonde hair. It reminds him of the empire's founder, who had the same hair color. The old coot starts losing his cool. Hearing the bishop use majesty as an honorific to address Alexander, Isaac realizes that this man must be the emperor himself. Alexander, on the other hand, keeps spitting facts. He even goes so far as to claim that Isaac is closer to God than the current pope, which makes him the final saint candidate. Hearing that nearly sends our boy into shock. To think that a kid like him is a saint candidate, that was not something he was expecting to hear. The bishop, of course, is not happy about this at all. The emperor is starting to favor our boy, and this old coot just can't allow that to happen. So, he makes a move. He turns to the emperor and requests permission to inspect the child himself. He argues that something about the boy is unnatural. After all, no baby should be able to consume that much vegetable juice. But the emperor doesn't see anything odd about a saint candidate chugging down monk food. Meanwhile, Isaac is still struggling to process the truth. How could he, the former demon king, possibly be a saint candidate? The old coot, however, refuses to back down. He keeps pushing to inspect the child. Finally, the emperor gives him the permission, but he also makes it clear that they will have to wait until someone from House Eshwa arrives. Meanwhile, our boy is casually burping out the excess demonic energy he couldn't digest from overeating. But the moment he realizes what he just did, he quickly claps a hand over his mouth. For a second, he genuinely thinks he might have just blown his cover. And yeah, it looks like he definitely did. Because now this piece of trash old man has found the perfect excuse to inspect him. He just sensed demonic energy coming from our boy. As the old coot looms closer, our poor boy can do nothing but brace himself. The old man is convinced that this child must be a fake saint candidate carrying impure mana. He insists that an inquisitor be brought in immediately to investigate him. But the emperor is getting real annoyed listening to this old coot bark nonsense about a saint candidate. In order to smooth things over, the bishop assures him that there's no need for concern because the pope has already selected the saint, none other than the child from House Barrett. This news genuinely surprises the emperor. He finds it absurd that the pope just so happened to pick a child from his own house. And finally, it all clicks for Isaac as to why this old bastard is trying to kill him. Seizing his chance, the bishop scoops Isaac up into his arms, claiming that he needs to take the child to a priest and summon an inquisitor for further inspection. But before he can get very far, the emperor stops him. He reminds him that House Eshua is the imperial family's closest ally. And as emperor, he highly suggests this old coot to reassess the child at a later date. The old coot halts, only to make a comeback, this time with a soft but clear threat aimed at the emperor. Apparently, the pope is threatening the emperor by refusing to officially recognize his son as the crown prince, unless the emperor agrees with the pope's choice for the saint. Even our boy can sense what's going on, and it makes him incredibly annoyed. While he has no intention of becoming the saint candidate because it would attract unwanted attention, he also can't let the inspection go through. It might reveal his real identity as the demon. Then, an idea sparks in his tiny mind. He infuses the feeder bottle he's holding with mana and strikes the old man across the face, hard enough to break his teeth. The broken teeth fly through the air as Isaac acts like a little child just playing around. The old man is confused how something so simple could hurt so much. But our boy just keeps playing the role of the cute, innocent child. Seeing the sheer strength of this boy, the emperor declares that this child must truly be the saint. Even the old coot is clueless as to where all this holy power is coming from. Our boy doesn't stop there. He swings the bottle again and lands another brutal hit, and further continues, one strike after another. It's safe to say this is one of the worst days the old man had in a while. Meanwhile, the emperor is enjoying every moment, pleased to see such a capable candidate for the title of saint. Our boy, on the other hand, strengthens the bottle with magic and delivers one last hit to seal the deal. But suddenly, our boy senses something unusual about his own powers. Every time he uses mana, he can sense a faint amount of holy magic as well. You see, mana and holy magic are incompatible and can't be used together. The only explanation for this is the influence of the mana core inside him. The old man finally grabs the feeder bottle and throws it away. declaring that the baby is a heretic and that they must immediately use the holy exorcism art. To put the final nail in the coffin, Isaac reaches into the old man's jacket and pulls out a creepy hand. Seeing this hand leaves the old man utterly devastated. He knows he's in real trouble now. Let me explain, this hand is actually the corpse of a high-ranking demon. In other words, it's a totem, an artifact that utilizes the characteristics of demons, who consume the corpses of other demons to absorb their mana. Our boy kept this totem on him at all times, just in case he ever encounters demons. The old man completely loses his shit when he realizes this kid even knows about the totem. Our boy throws the totem on the floor, so everyone can see it. As soon as the totem touches the ground, Isaac snaps his fingers, and the demonic monster inside is unleashed. While everyone is absolutely shocked, our boy is rocked. And that's the end of this video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.